Oh, what up, everybody? What's up? It's your boy Bars McFarland here with the One Man Band Hip Hop blog. I'm here to review Schoolboy Q's Oxymoron. It's his first major label debut. His previous major works include Setbacks and Habits and Contradictions. Here we go. In terms of overall quality, I really enjoyed this album. Um, when I came into it, I expected kind of a dark, um, introspective Schoolboy Q. Kind of, I thought this was gonna be the album where we learn more about Schoolboy Q personally, um, kind of about his life and all this stuff that we hear about him, just but more on a in-depth scale. It kicked off with Gangsta, which is exactly the epitome of what I wanted to hear. It had a dark, eerie piano melodic beat, very aggressive raps. The chorus was very aggressive. Um, One of my favorite songs on there. And then it switched into Los Awesome, which produced by the Neptunes, which is a song I really like, and it grew on me. At first, I didn't care for it because it was so left field from Gangsta that it kind of just threw you for a loop, and it was kind of unpleasing to the ears because of how different it was. And it really didn't have a transition at all, so it kind of caught you off guard. I didn't like it too much at first, but it's grown on me with each listen. Um, Another song I really like, let's see, What They Want featuring Two Chains. Actually, a tolerable Two Chains verse. It goes back kind of with the gangsta. It's very dark production again. Im Impactful drums. Mike Will on the beat. It was one of the songs that I thought I was gonna get when I put this album on. I'm not sure because it went from Gangsta to Los Awesome to the single Collard Greens and then What They Want. I don't know how the sequencing went, but Los Awesome and Collard Greens sound nothing like anything else in the album, and while Gangsta and What They Want don't sound necessarily alike, you could feel the influence in the dark and the grittiness in both of them that I thought would have flowed better if they were back to back or if there was even transition. So I enjoyed all first four songs, but in terms of sequencing and transitioning, it kind of caught me off guard the way that it went. But it picked up what they want because it went to Hoover Street, which is another song that started off really weird, was very minimal in terms of and verses and production. But then there's a beat switch, and then it goes into Schoolboy Q. You get the being very introspective, talking about how his uncle used to be around, and they couldn't really have his uncle around because he was stealing from him. And he goes, "Roaches in my cereal. My uncle take my stereo." Um, Kind of just talks about his life where he grew up, how his grandma had a gun, kind of how he got into the world that he got into too. Very introspective. What I liked from Schoolboy Q, what drew me into Schoolboy Q back when Setbacks dropped, was songs like Cycle and Kamikaze. It was definitely what I wanted to get from the album, and up until that point, while I got songs I enjoyed, Hoover Street was really the first introspective song that I got in terms of knowing more than just the surface that we already know about Schoolboy Q. We learned more about his family and kind of some of the stories in his life. So that was one of my favorite songs. Then I went to Studio, which was kind of the quote unquote love song of the album, and him being a gangster, it was very abrasive. He's talking really grimy and dirty to the women that he loved in there. It was really dope because it's not your typical love song because of that. He definitely added a twist to it. Produced by Swifty, who does work with Pac Div, which was one of my favorite Swifty beats. The beat was really dope. BJ the Chicago Kid was on the hook. But yeah, he was singing on it, which kind of caught me off guard. But after a few listens, I really enjoyed that song. Production really carries it for me because the subject matter is really basic, but the production was really dope. Then it goes to Prescription Oxymoron, which really fits the theme of the album, the oxymoron theme. Prescription talks about how he used to do drugs and his drug habits and how it kind of caused him to be lazy and kind of not the person that he wanted to be. Like his mom was calling him and his sister or his daughter was calling him and he wasn't answering. He was really unmotivated. And then Oxymoron picks up. Prescriptions are really laid back, kind of goes with the unmotivated. Not that it's a bad beat or anything. I really enjoy the beat, but it fits kind of the wordplay and the verses within the song. Then Oxymoron begins another banger, but it talks about how he sold drugs, kind of, which got him motivated to that because he was getting money and he was understanding how to get off the couch and go after it. And So that was cool. That was a song that I really enjoyed. That song is actually the epitome of kind of the one thing that bothered me about this album, which is while I love Schoolboy Q's charisma as an MC, it definitely he's over charismatic at times. He does sometimes he does too many ad libs. I really he's on here. He's like, "Oh, XY, you moron." I mean, it's cool, I guess, but after a few listens, it kind of gets annoying, and that's just one of my knocks on him. Is sometimes he's just a little over charismatic. Um, then it goes into the Purge featuring Tyler and Corrupt. Tyler made the beat, Tyler on the hook. Corrupt just steals the show at the end. He comes in with a really dope verse, entertaining, funny, flows nice. In terms of entertaining verses, that was probably the best verse in terms of entertainment. My roommates, I'm listening to it. He comes on and some of the stuff he says, man, is just hilarious. So it was dope to hear Corrupt. Dope metaphors on there by Corrupt, and he kind of just bodied that whole thing. Then it goes to Blind Threats, which has another OG, Raekwon. One of my favorite songs too, because it's another song where you get more of the introspective Schoolboy Q. Like I said, those are the songs I really like from him because I feel like he's an interesting dude, and when you get to hear more of like his thoughts and where he came from and what he just kind of the background of everything, I think that makes him a way more interesting MC because I don't think too many rappers have a story like him. If you know his backstory with him, he had good grades, played sports, then just kind of just a friend was going to get into the gang life and he went with him. Like I think Schoolboy Q lyrically and in terms of storytelling has a lot more to offer than he did on this album. But not saying that's a bad album at all. I enjoyed the album, but I wanted more. I wanted to know more about Q than the surface level when I threw this on, and that's just something I don't think I got for a lot of the songs. Um, then Break the Bank, by far my favorite song on here, probably my favorite song of the year so far. That shows his versatility as an MC. The verses, introspective, melodic, charisma. I love Alchemist, but it's probably one of my favorite Alchemist beats of all time on here. Just really dark, gritty yet melodic piano beat, or and it was just an amazing song. It's probably my favorite Schoolboy Q song. That and Cycle from Setbacks to date. So that was one of my favorite. Then it goes to Man of the Year, which is another song that plays well into the Oxymoron theme. Because if you listen to it, it kind of sounds like a very braggadocious song, but actually it talks about LA and kind of the struggles in LA. So that was a song I really enjoyed. I didn't hear it prior to the album, even though it's one of the singles, because I don't really like to listen to the singles before the album, so I don't hear too much of the album before it comes out. So I really enjoyed Man of the Year. Then in the three iTunes songs, you got His and Her Fiend featuring SZA. Usually I like weird songs like that, but it was the spacey and floaty beats. But there was just something about this song that really didn't connect with me. I enjoyed SZA. I'm really interested to see what she does. I really like her voice a lot. And then FLA was my other favorite on here of the last three. Number 15 is the very last song. The production carried that for me. I really enjoyed the beat, but then there was kind of like a bassline undertone beat, which was really dope. Lyrically, he did his thing on there. His charisma as well. He didn't overly overdo it. Um, really enjoyed that song. And then he had Groove Line Part 2, which followed up to Groove Line from the Habits and Contradictions. I really enjoyed the production, but lyrically, it really didn't do too much for me. Um, but in terms of the whole, with something about if Krayshawn, something about Cray is a 1 and Nas is Illmatic is a 10, this is probably like a 6.5, 6.75, which is really good if you grade like how I grade. I enjoyed the album. In terms of full body of work, this is probably Schoolboy Q's best album. You got your charisma, you got your lyrics, you got your production, you got your energy. But coming in, and maybe it's my own fault, I wanted to know more about Schoolboy Q. I wanted to know more about his story. And I just think that's something that we didn't necessarily get deeper into in the album. There were songs where we did, but as a whole body of work, I don't feel like I learned too much more about Schoolboy Q than I already knew. Um, like songs like Hoover Street, like I said, I wouldn't have known about the how the family turmoil with his uncle stealing and his grandma having a gun and how his transition into the gang life. I wouldn't have known that if it wasn't for songs like Hoover Street. But I wish there were more songs like that. Um, but yeah, in terms of the whole, I really enjoyed the album. Um, Another thing I wanted to say with TDE, it's kind of TDE's worst enemy, if that makes sense, because you expect with Good Kid, Mad City setting it off in terms of commercial, you just expect everything commercially. You're just going to compare it to the next thing, and um, you can't compare this to Good Kid, Mad City personally for me because I think Good Kid, Mad City, we learned who Kendrick Lamar is and where he came from and what and just kind of his whole mantra. And while Schoolboy Q, we learned that. I don't think we learned anything different than we already knew. On a broader scale, obviously, like I said, there were a few songs where we did, but um, I Schoolboy or TDE just has they continue to put out great music, and you just continue. And as a fan, and as a listener, and as a critic, you're gonna compare it to their previous work, other people's work. I don't necessarily think that's fair, but I mean, they're all trying to strive to be the greatest. So when you don't compare T Mac to Sean Bradley because Schoolboy Q said that he thinks his album's better than Kendrick. So when you say something like that, you have to compare it. And in terms of what I look for in music, I don't think this is as good as Good Kid, Mad City or close. But it is a really good project. You get everything you grow to love from Schoolboy Q. It's just I personally would have liked it more to be like setbacks in the sense that you learn more about his story, and I just thought that we didn't learn too much more about Schoolboy Q. Um, I really wish we did, but I really enjoyed the album overall. We'll see if it comes on my half-year list in June, but I really enjoyed it. I think it's definitely an album that grows on me, but like I said, I really, really thought I was going to learn more about Q, more in depth, more stories. But in terms of production, this is his best album. Um, yeah, go pick it up. Came out today, February 25th. Yeah, Schoolboy Q, Oxymoron. It's your boy Bars McFarland signing off. I'll see you guys soon. Peace.